Welcome to Negative Splits, the only running podcast that asks the hard questions, with your host, Doug Miles. Brought to you by the Lapeer Run Club, with generous support from the Doug Miles Fan Club and viewers like you.
Have you ever been asked, are you a runner? Have you hesitated to say yes? Well, you might be surprised to find out you're not alone. Welcome to episode 4 of Negative Splits. Imagine calling yourself a hunter after you sat in a blind for a few hours at deer camp, or calling yourself a journalist after you submitted an article to the company newsletter for the first time, or calling yourself a podcaster after you published 3 episodes. I hadn't even completed the Couch to 5K training before I signed up for my first race. It was back in 2016. I was a novice runner, not even considering myself a runner at the time. I showed up for this race wearing Nautica swim trunks because I didn't even own running shorts. And I remember putting myself at the very back of the corral when everyone lined up. There were 900 people there, and I was back with the moms with the strollers because I didn't want to be in anybody's way. Another memory I have is when I walked into a run specialty store for the first time, the other one. And the salesperson asked me one question: how many miles do you run a week? Now, I had no idea. I believe I said 10 miles a week. And I remember feeling like that was a really lame answer. And having these doubts again, like, do I belong here? Am I a runner? Am I just playing dress up? So my hard question for you is, when did you feel comfortable calling yourself a runner? Do you still hesitate, or has it never been an issue for you? At what point did you reach when you recognized that you were a runner? Was it after you completed your first race, after your 5th race, your 10th race, after a marathon, after an ultra? At what point did you feel like you belonged with your peers? I asked some other runners this question, and their answers actually surprised me.
All right, when did I feel comfortable considering myself a runner? I don't know if I do yet. I've only been doing this a little over a year. The group runs, though, seeing how inviting everyone was at Complete Runners group runs, that was my first real experience with running since high school.
When did I become comfortable calling myself a runner? To be honest, I don't feel comfortable calling myself a runner. One, because I have a strength training background and I want to stick to that. I want to own that, right? But with that said, I am a runner. And when I started to call myself a runner is when I found myself training for a run, training for a race, and trying to do my best and reaching out beyond my comfort zone, right? To do well and make things happen that I previously didn't care about, right?
Hi, Doug. When did I first feel comfortable calling myself a runner? I don't. I still don't think I'm a runner, but my first marathon was probably the turning point in my running hobby, and it got a little more serious after that.
When did I feel comfortable calling myself a runner? I still don't think I am comfortable calling myself a runner. I feel like I have a little bit of imposter syndrome almost every time I show up to a race or sometimes even a group run. Not group runs mostly anymore, but definitely races for sure that I don't feel like I stack up against the other people.
When did I feel comfortable with calling myself a runner? Well, seeing how I was blessed with being a natural born athlete, I've been dunking on the mini hoop since I was 2 years old. I've been hitting dingers on the sand lot since I was 7. Randy Moss and people on the gridiron since I was in Pee Wee. I'm gonna go ahead and say April 1st, 2020. Day 1, when I first went for my first 5K, put on a pair of basketball shoes to go for a run and straight up killed it. So I'm gonna go with day 1.
When did you first feel comfortable calling yourself a runner? Earlier in your life, you might have shown up for your first group runner race and thought, I don't belong here. What happened to change that doubt into the confidence you have now? I really started running before I ever recognized myself as a runner. I came from a super athletic family. It was really my high school cross-country coach that first said to me that he thought running was something I would never outgrow, that it was something I would do forever. So I just kind of kept doing it. And through the adversity that comes with that, I've learned that you can kind of do anything. And that's where the confidence that I have today comes from.
When did I feel comfortable calling myself a runner? I'm still working through that right now. I guess I could call myself a runner because of the last year. I certainly trained like a runner, signing up for marathons, but there's still a little bit of denial there, I guess, sometimes. When I first showed up for a group run and thought I didn't belong, I didn't think that I didn't belong the first time I showed up to a group run. I just figured I'd go on a run and see what I could do. I really got confidence when I could at least keep up with the pace that the other runners were running. I know I wasn't as fast as them, but if I could keep up with their training pace, then I know that I, could at least felt like I belonged a little bit there and I could get better over time.
I think for me, when I first felt comfortable calling myself the honorary title of runner, was just looking back and reflecting upon the year. Maybe it sounds kind of arbitrary, but just totaling up the miles for the year kind of put things in perspective for me. Knowing that I put in at least 5 days a week for the year, whether it was 1,000, 1,500, or 2,000 miles for the year, just that kind of having that under my belt made me feel like, yeah, okay, I'm a runner.
It just goes to show you that despite having years of experience and a lot of accomplishments under their belt, people still feel nagging doubt in calling themselves runners. So you're not alone. It's not just you that feels uncomfortable when you show up to a race or when you're at group run. I understand that people around you may be feeling the same way. So personally, I felt comfortable calling myself a runner after I had come back from an injury that I suffered as a result of running. I had signed up for a marathon. I was completely overconfident and underprepared, and I went out thinking I was going to crush this thing. Nothing could stop me. I just kept on getting better every time I raced, and ended up having severe knee pain after about 20 miles, and I just walked in the last 6 miles. I could not bear to run a single step. I felt like bone on bone whenever I tried to run. It just shot up my entire spine to my head. And after I had looked at my injury and researched it, I recognized I had something called runner's knee. And I actually felt really satisfied when I learned that, because that meant that I was a runner. I had runner's knee. You get that from running, from being a runner. And that was kind of funny, but when I recovered from my injury, I remember I just really felt like I belonged because I had something in common with other runners now. Anyway, I appreciate you guys joining me for episode 4 of Negative Splits, where I ask the hard questions. Please join me next time. And remember that you are a runner.